People ask about our brand. What is the Tahitian Noni brand? Well, it begins in Tahiti with our story and it spreads out from there. T and I created this industry. We are the #1 noni company in the world and no one else can say that. We're first in noni production, first in noni research, and first in noni quality.
Tahitian Noni International selects specific islands for growing the noni based on a battery of tests. The soil, the water, and even the air must meet exacting standards. The environment must be perfect and pristine. On more than 80 separate islands throughout the wide expanse known as the islands of Tahiti, thousands of families tend and nurture wild-crafted noni trees for Tahitian Noni International. Throughout the year, these industrious islanders are visited by TNI's Director of Tahiti Operations, Edward Turaru, and his staff. The company has a strict certification process for both growers and harvesters, ensuring that every fruit, every leaf, and every seed meets exacting standards. After the noni fruit is carefully selected and harvested, it is thoroughly washed and individually inspected. Only the fruit that passes this meticulous scrutiny moves on to the next phase. The fruit is then placed on curing racks to further the ripening process. In preparation for shipment to Tahiti, the clean, inspected fruit is placed in special drums fitted with a double layer of sanitary liners. Every single drum is carefully examined and weighed. Then each drum is marked with ID information, who harvested it, when it was picked, how much the drum weighs, and a tracking number. Here on the island of Tahiti in the small town of Mata'ea lies a brand new state-of-the-art noni processing facility, capable of processing enough noni to supply the current and future needs of a growing worldwide market. This facility stands as a real and tangible reminder of the investment that Tahitian Noni International has made in the islands of Tahiti. This is where noni fruit puree is created from the raw fruit that arrives from outlying islands. Each batch begins with the creation of a batch record. This is where the tracking number of every drum of fruit is recorded, and reports are made throughout the processing as quality checks and other testing take place. The inspected fruit is then run through a process called finishing. In the finisher, the seeds, stems, and skins are removed and the flesh of the fruit is turned into a puree. Then comes a pivotal step. Using the revolutionary Wadsworth Story process, the puree is pasteurized. But unlike traditional pasteurization, this breakthrough method ensures a sanitary product without denaturing the puree. All the beneficial properties of the noni fruit are left intact. This Wadsworth Story process is completely proprietary. It is owned and protected by Tahitian Noni International. The end result is a pure and natural noni fruit puree which is loaded into lined shipping totes. Each of these totes, which hold 230 gallons of puree, is marked with a lot number, the date, and the time of filling, and a composite sample number. The composite sample is critical. Before a tote is sealed for shipping, quality control personnel take a sample and subject it to a battery of purity tests. Only when it meets TNI's exacting quality standards is it ready to ship to bottling plants throughout the world. From its ancestral home in the heart of the warm Pacific, the pure and natural noni puree is shipped to bottling plants strategically placed for maximum efficiency. In Guangzhou, China, in Leipzig, Germany, in the Chubu district of Japan, and in Utah in the United States. These are the first of many finished manufacturing facilities positioned throughout the globe, perfectly placed to establish product manufacturing close to consumers. When the totes full of noni puree arrive here in Japan, just like when they arrive in China or Germany or the United States, quality assurance personnel verify the certificates of analysis from Tahiti. Nothing happens until all the records are checked and verified. Once the tote verification process is completed, the noni puree is hygienically pumped into huge batch tanks, where it is blended with thoroughly tested additional ingredients. Each of these batches will yield 3,500 gallons of finished Tahitian noni juice. When a new batch is begun, quality control initiates a new production batch record. Once the flavoring process is completed, quality control personnel take samples and test them. After the batch supervisor reviews the quality control checks and signs the release, it's time for bottling. Every bottle is thoroughly sterilized before filling, then the bottles are hot filled at a precise temperature to ensure a sterile environment. The bottles are then capped with tamper-proof seals, labeled, and a batch code is permanently printed on the bottle. With this number, TNI can trace a bottle of juice back to the bottling plant and the batch it came from. From the batch records, they know which totes were used. From the tote records, they know which drums of fruit were used. And from the drum records, they know who harvested the fruit. This ability to trace the product back to the islands and the harvesters who picked the fruit is a powerful thing. TNI is the first company in the world to create and master this fully integrated process.
The Tahitian Noni brand represents our passion, our story, our history. It represents the benefits of noni. It represents our people and our lifestyle. Tahitian Noni is taking its place among the greatest of the worldwide brands. Because of all of these things, when you talk about noni, you can only talk about Tahitian Noni International.